missing struggle is a collective of families that have family members that are missing. Benicio, of course, is missing his daughter. We have George Vasquez, who is also missing his daughter. We also have Natasha Burgos, who is missing her cousin. As well. So I mentioned all of those people because we have, every case is different. And I think it was important to have you come on here, Dr. Vanessa, to talk about the human trafficking portion, as well as, and most importantly this time, about domestic violence. I just think it's very important that people understand the prominency, I guess is the word that I want to say, of domestic violence, of sex trafficking, especially in Florida. I just think that that's very, very important for everyone to understand. So I'm going to ask you, if you will, to give us some statistics, because to me that's really important. We're here to educate everybody about this. So can you give us a little statistics about, first, let's go over domestic violence, if that's okay.
That's great. Because I think it's important to talk about it, because a lot of times they're interrelated. There's a major intersection of all different types of trauma, right? The hush topics. That's why we talk about all of them, because we see more than one oftentimes, right? And so it's important to address it and to understand it. So when we look at domestic violence, a lot of times people just look at it as the physical, but it's more than the physical. So you have to pay attention to that. When we're talking about domestic violence, and it's just not the fighting, the abuse, right? The physical abuse. It's the emotional abuse. It's the spiritual abuse, when somebody uses your religion, your faith against you. They use the Bible against you. It's your financial abuse, when they don't allow you to leave. You don't have a job. You can't work. They take all of your money, right? Then we're looking at the sexual abuse, because a lot of times when you're in a domestic violence relationship, you are forced to have sex. So you can be sexually abused by your spouse or by your boyfriend, husband, wife. You could be abused from that perspective as well. And so it's important to look at all of those aspects when we're looking at the numbers for domestic violence. So 1 in 5 women, or 1 in 7, experience sexual assault. And then we're at 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 when we're looking at domestic violence. And I bring them all in together because people do not realize that you could be sexually assaulted while you're in a domestic violence relationship, right? And you don't have to be married. It could be an intimate partner relationship. It could be same-sex relationships, right? It could be teen dating violence relationships. All of those are counted in our numbers. And I'll tell you, I look at statistics like this. People don't report. So the numbers are only those that were reported, right? Think about the numbers that are not reported. And we don't tell, because in our society, people will say things like, why don't you leave? If I was you, I'll do this. They say the most horrible things to you. And so you don't even feel safe coming to report or to share with a family member or a friend.
And I do want to add this. A lot of people don't know that they're abused in these relationships, especially when they're married or teen relationships. They don't understand that they really are being abused. I can say, for one, now that I know, knowing is half the battle.
It's half the battle. Mm-hmm. And it happens to men and women, right? It happens to our teens. It happens in our families. And so it's important to realize that it's not often reported. So when I look at stats, I look at the one person. The other thing I want people to understand is that you can die due to domestic violence. So I live in South Carolina. In South Carolina, we are 5th in the nation of women being killed due to domestic violence. So not only do they beat you, abuse you,
Wait a minute. I need you to roll it back a minute. Say that again.
We are 5th in the nation, and we have a small state, right? Our state is not large, of women being killed due to domestic violence. And not only do they kill the women, they will kill their children and then turn around and kill themselves. So it is a major problem that people do not understand, and do not understand how it is important to get out of these type of relationships and to know that there are people out here that will believe you don't have to stay in these type of relationships because they are dangerous. It's just not the fighting, it leads to death. And so I think it's important to bring that up and for people to understand the importance of it and to know that when you're looking at statistics, they are not accurate. That is only the reported numbers that we have, the reported numbers to the hotline, right? Those are not everybody that decided not to call or that called and hung up, because it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things ever to tell somebody that you're being abused in some form.
Especially when you're married and you've chosen this person as your lifelong partner. That's very hard to. Wow.
I love you, right? And just because somebody mistreats you doesn't stop you from loving them, right? So people are like, well, I don't understand why individuals don't leave. There are multiple reasons why people don't leave, and it's really not our business. That's what I tell people. It's really none of your business why individuals don't leave. What it is our business, how can we support them during this process and when they get ready to leave? That's our business. How can we love them through this? Because it's multiple reasons. Sometimes you don't leave because of your kids. You don't have the money. Sometimes you're scared to get out here and do it on your own. It is not easy to make moves, and it's expensive. And some people don't have an education. They don't have a lot of skills. So there's multiple reasons why individuals don't leave. And maybe it's, I love you. And I'm hoping that you will change. I'm hoping if I stay that I can love you enough that you want this to me and my children again.